Hello everyone, welcome back to another great video I have in store for everyone. In this week's video, what we're going to be covering, I keep wanting to say show, I'm thinking about the podcast. But in this week's video, what we're going to be covering is actually something I think a lot of you are going to find beneficial. I really stumbled and figured this out by accident. It was in no way, shape, or form something that was supposed to be on purpose at all, but it was something that I was pretty blown away by. I think it's going to solve a lot of the common issues people have with what I'm going to be talking here today. So if you guys wondering what exactly you're like, pricing, so what is this video on? It's going to be on growing Chaeto morpha, specifically in a reef tank. And kind of, if you're a person that you got a big, sump with a big refugium, I'm sure you'll benefit from this, but you probably won't have the issues I'm going to be describing. Maybe you will, but a lot of the issues I'm going to be talking about that a lot of people have trying to grow refugiums are mainly in nanos or in pretty much places where they don't have a designated refugium in the sump. So there's kind of two ways to do it. One, and when I say two ways, talking about if you have a nano and all-in-one, you kind of have two options. One very common option is put an LED on the back of the tank. You pretty much remove the black vinyl. You attach an LED, whether it's a DIY or you buy one, Innovative Marine. Tons of companies have them. You attach it to the back of the tank and pretty much just turn that area into a refugium. And that has kind of its drawbacks, and I personally have been not against it, but not for it, for the simple reason on my past experience. In my experience, anytime I created a small refugium in an all-in-one, it just didn't work. It would work for maybe a week, and eventually all the Chaeto would die off. It'd get some green slime. It would just get nasty. And that was, I tried it on multiple different tanks, even on some buddies' tanks, and it always seemed to be the same exact thing. The Chaeto would eventually die. And even talking to other reefers with all-in-ones, they told me they cannot for the life of them grow Chaeto in their all-in-one tank. So I really didn't think about how to solve it. I just said, you know what, the heck with it. It just can't be done. Let's call it a day. And I know what some of you may be saying out there. You're probably saying, well, there wasn't enough nutrients. I personally tested out running a little bit higher nutrients at that time, and it still would die off, with no success. So kind of the other option that has been a little bit more common of an option is to do a Chaeto reactor. So a Chaeto reactor is pretty much a reactor that you convert by adding LED strips around it, throwing Chaeto inside, and it pretty much forces water through the Chaeto, and obviously the light between the high flow and the high concentrated light, it pretty much creates what I would call an accelerated growth. And again, this is fine and dandy, and a lot of people would say that the previous way with the light in the back, they would say that wouldn't work because there wasn't enough flow. So the answer to that was, a Chaeto reactor, which you have a pump specifically blowing water into this reactor, thus forcing the high flow that Chaeto likes. Because unlike other macroalgae, Chaeto loves high flow. So sure enough, you guys probably saw my DIY video. I also did one of those. Again, the same exact thing happened. The benefit I did see from a Chaeto reactor is that the Chaeto would grow a lot quicker, about 2 to 3 times faster, which is great, but eventually it would get some nasty slime inside, and it would just die off every single time. I tried it multiple times, and same, I would talk to other reefers out there, and they all were having the same issue. So again, I wasn't going to, fight going upstream. I just said, you know what, the heck with it. It just doesn't work. I'm going to wait till I have a bigger tank with a designated refugium. Because for some reason or another, bigger tanks tend to do a lot better. If you got a tank with a sump and a refugium, I've never heard of those really having an issue. So the way I really stumbled across this was I was reading about trying to figure out why the Chaeto kept getting some black slime on it. I had no freaking idea why it was happening. So I was doing some research at night, and I stumbled across I don't know if it was on Reef Central or where it was, but someone said and recommended, I believe it's pronounced Ferrion, Ferrion. In other words, it's iron is what it is. They recommended dosing that. But then in my head, I was like, you know, my iron isn't low. I've done multiple ICP tests and the iron's within range. So I said, no, I don't think that's the issue. But something inside me said, you know what, just order the iron just for the hell of it and, you know, see what happens. So I ordered it. I actually never got around to it. I just had it there sitting around. And so recently I decided to again give a try to the back, pretty much cutting out the back vinyl on the back of the tank and creating a refugium that way, because I tried Chaeto reactors and those just didn't work for me. They would work for a little bit and eventually would die off. So I said, you know what, I found this new light on Amazon that was super low profile, and it was something I was like, you know what, this actually looks really nice. It was tons of lights, very high intensity. I said, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go. And believe it or not, guys, previously I had tried to do I always forget the name of this stuff, Callirpa. I tried to do grape Callirpa, and believe it or not, the grape Callirpa kind of started going sexual on me. It didn't get to the point where it got in the tank. It just would turn white and die. And eventually, most of it died. Some of it was kind of recuperating. But before, you know, I kind of got scared with it going sexual and dealing with that. So before any of that happened, I ripped it out. I went to my neighbors and I grabbed a big ball of, actually it wasn't a big ball. It was smaller than my fist. So I got some of that. I said, you know what, let's try it one more time. So I went ahead, put it in the tank. I let some few days pass and I remembered, I was like, wait, I have some of that iron stuff. So sure enough, I went, I dosed it, and didn't think much of it. I said, it's probably not going to do anything, but let's just try it. So I did about every 2 days. I was doing three or 4 milliliters every 2 to 3rd day. And guys, I mean, really, the results speak for themselves. I'm not lying to you guys. This Chaeto quadrupled in size in about 2 weeks. I honestly, like, I'm not even lying to you guys. Not even a Chaeto reactor grew this quick. Not even a Chaeto reactor. Which I was completely blown away. The only thing I did different was adding this Ferrion or iron. So you guys can see here, the growth is just out of this world. I mean, I still to this day am blown away. This is the type of growth you would typically see on a Chaeto reactor, just because it's so accelerated. But I'm not even lying to you guys. This is 2 weeks of growth here right in front of you. And pretty much what I have to blame for these great results is, you guys can see here, the Brightwell Aquatics iron. So this stuff, as you can see here on the label, it is concentrated. And like I said, I just have to say that, you know, the Chaeto really needed the iron. I guess essentially what was happening, the reason it was dying out is because it was stripping it out of the water column. Not to the point where the levels would become too horrible on my ICP test, but enough for it not to grow. So if you guys look at the instructions here, 5 milliliters is pretty much for a 50 gallon tank. So you can break that down to 1 milliliter per every 10 gallon aquarium you have. So I've been dosing 3 to 4 milliliters every 2nd or 3rd day. And guys, I've been super happy with it. I've never seen this much growth in my Chaeto, not even in the reactor I tried. So I'm happy to say that I'm back with the refugium in the tank. Now, I know a few of you out there may be saying, well, I bet you have high nitrates and high phosphates and that's to blame. That's why you're getting higher growth. No, my phosphates are at 0.03 and my nitrates are at, I think 7 to 10 ppm when I did the test. I'm not feeding heavy, so I mean, I'm not going to say it has nothing to do with nutrients. Of course it has something to do with nutrients. But it's not growing like this because my nutrients are super high. I can only 100% point it to the Brightwell. Ferrion, there's other companies that make this, but I read that Brightwell is kind of the company that makes this specific product, and it just nails it. So what's pretty much you're saying, so what's this video about, right? Pretty much for you guys out there having issues with growing Chaeto, Caulerpa, I don't think Caulerpa is as dependent in iron as Chaeto is, although almost all macroalgae that we grow in our tanks for nutrient export, they kind of need iron. But from what I've read, Chaeto is one of them that really, really needs it. So if you're a person out there that's listening to this video or watching this video and you're dealing with issues with your Chaeto, or let's say you're not dealing with issues, but you just would like a little bit quicker growth. Because remember, guys, the quicker the growth is on the Chaeto, that directly translates to the better export and the faster nitrates and phosphates will be exported from the tank. So even if you're not having any issues with it, I highly recommend you checking this out because you are going to be blown away. The results you guys saw in front of you was 2 weeks. I'm honestly still blown away on how crazy that growth was. And for you guys wondering, I'm in no way, shape, or form sponsored by Brightwell Aquatics. I personally paid for this. I think I actually got it on Amazon. So yeah, the Brightwell is not in no way, shape, or form sponsoring this. It's a legit review of my thoughts on this Ferrion or iron by Brightwell. So I think we're going to leave this video here, guys. I really hope you guys found it useful, especially for you guys trying to grow Chaeto. Let's say you're not trying to grow Chaeto, but you've been thinking about it. If you are thinking about it, this is kind of what you want to do. So what I'm going to be doing in the future video, I'm going to be showing you guys, doing a video on the new light I got on Amazon. It's super low profile. You guys can see, very sleek. It has an aluminum backplate, so it allows for kind of the heat sink in it, and they're very high intensity. I have them on a timer. I think the lights come on for about 6 hours when my main lights are off. But yeah, guys, enough rambling. Hopefully you guys got something great from this video. Also, I want to announce, guys, I recently, myself and Shalom from Instagram, recently launched a t-shirt company called REEFTEEZ. So I highly urge you guys to go check it out. We're having a giveaway on Instagram as well. Every pre-order gets 15% off. Tons of great designs, guys. There's going to be a few designs released every month, so I highly urge you guys to check it out. Again, that's www.reefteez.com. And yeah, guys, if you guys aren't subscribed to my channel here, please be sure to subscribe. Leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear if you've had experience with this product, or I'd love to hear what your experience is currently with trying to grow Chaeto. You know, seeing your guys' thoughts. So thank you guys very much for watching, guys. As always, happy reefing.